Yeah, hello everyone. So today we are discussing, how to use AI in education domain particularly, and we have heard a lot about this. The AI is going to replace your jobs and all those things. But I really like this, single quote or headline of this article, as you can say. AI is not going to replace your job, but definitely someone using AI will, and the same implies to the education domain also. And today, what we'll try to do is we'll try to understand how we can leverage Chat GPT for the education domain. Let's say some college teacher or some school teachers wants to leverage Chat GPT. So we'll go through a couple of examples specifically related to computer science domain. But yeah, these can be translated to other domains as well. So we start with this simple example. This is just how to make lecture notes for any topic. Here I'm using asymptotic notations for an example, and as soon as I ask it for lecture notes, it gives me some very simple definitions, the different notations, what are the common notations, and which to use when, and let's say a conclusion. So very broad overview of the topic, but yeah, it might be suffice for helping as some lecture notes. And we can also ask it for detailed answers or detailed of some any subtopic, and then get lecture notes around that as well. And not only lecture notes, we can also ask for short quiz. On the same topic, I've asked to create a quiz, and it has created 5 questions and the corresponding answers as well. So very useful for creating short quizzes or some lecture notes or any notes that might be handy while taking classes. So a very good use case for Chat GPT. Now SQL in particular is very widely used, and generally DBMS and other subjects are being taught in bachelor's and master's level. And with Chat GPT we can leverage SQL in a very intuitive way by first providing it some context. So let's say if I provide context to the Chat GPT engine that I have an SQL table named students, and it has 4 columns. Let's say roll number, name, marks, and attendance, and these are the 4 columns. So now whatever queries I'll be making or I'll be asking it to make, those would be in terms of this context only. So Chat GPT would understand, yeah, so we already have this table having these 4 columns, and my queries should be tuned around these only. Like I say I want to insert this data, so it automatically took into account these 4 columns and the data. Now I asked how many students had lowest attendance but their marks were above 50% marks as compared to the whole class. So this what I'm doing is I'm asking it something in natural language, but it will return with some SQL query related to that data that we had already provided. So it's understanding that context as well. And one important thing is that it's important to have that domain knowledge, because here there might be minor mistakes that afterwards I'm trying to correct and understand. But that's why we say that AI won't replace completely the jobs, but tools, someone who is using these tools might replace, because the all the rudimentary work and the initial work is being done by the tool. And if I have the domain knowledge, I can tune it to my particular use case. Like here I have the initial query, now I can tune it as and when required. Then this is one very interesting use case. I can ask Chat GPT engine to convert as a Linux terminal, and I give it some more commands like you don't need to give any particular output or explanations, and you should just give back the output of a Linux terminal. And if there's anything in English that I would like to ask, I'll do it like this inside curly braces, and my first command is pwd. So as soon as I give it pwd that's present working directly, it will give me this home user, as you would expect from any normal Linux terminal. Df minus edge, which is used to check for the usage of the memory or the hard disk, you can say, and this is for the RAM of the Linux system, whichever we are using. So you see, we just converted the prompt of Chat GPT, the conversation between us and Chat GPT, into a Linux terminal. So very handy, and I think this is a very nice tool to have. And similarly, you can convert it into any terminal. Let's say you are working on Python, you are working on JavaScript, you are working on C sharp. So rather than going into individual compilers and all those things, we can just start asking ChatGPT to convert into the particular uh, type of terminal or interpreter. And yeah, it does it readily. Now this one might be important. Let's say we give students some assignment and they give return a program, so we can even find bugs, like there should be double equal to here instead of single equal to. So it's specifically mentioning us that this is the problem. Similarly, if some code is not working and we are getting some error, so we can give that particular code as well as the error, and ChatGPT might help us to better understand what might be the particular issue. So this is also pretty cool. And here again I'm using Linux terminal thing. So this initial command has to be provided, and I'm asking it to write a Python script to print first 1,000 prime numbers to the terminal, and also write it as a file. So this is the script in Python for printing first 1,000 prime numbers. And you can also see there's also already a Python file that is existing in which this script is there. And if I run this, because it's acting as a Linux terminal, it will give me the output. Now the output is truncated a bit because there is a limitation, what the number of lines or digits or alphabets it can return, the chat gpt prompt. And we'll see further how to even bypass this and have the results. So this is one more example. I can also go around asking for time complexity of certain programs. Let's say this is my program which I'm trying to write, and I ask ChatGPT what might be the time complexity. So it will analyze this program and return with, it might be n into square root of n. So we can further understand asymptotic notations or any concept for that matter by using this kind of prompts. And this one is pretty interesting, and I think this would help educators a lot, that you take any complex topic and you ask ChatGPT to explain it like I am on 5 years old, 2 years old, like I'm a child, basically. So what it will do is it will encapsulate that topic and try to present that topic in a way. So if you just read the first line only, so recurrent neural networks are like a storybook, that remembers what happened before. You know how when you read a story, you can remember what happened at the beginning, even when you get at the end, brain remembers what happened. So it's trying to, you ask for RNN, simply it might give you some, very technical stuff. What are neural networks, why they are called recurrent, and all those things. But this gives you in a way, this chat gpt formulates that whole thing in a way so that it's easier to explain a very complex or a new topic to someone, even in school or in college. So this is one pretty useful trick. And even for soft skills, we can use chat gpt. Like, let's say if I want to debate with chat gpt, I'm asking chat gpt that I want to debate with you on topic demonetization. So it's pretty smart. It's asking demonetization for which country. So I said India. So then it started and it asked that what is your perspective. And I'm specifically asking it that you should oppose and I will support it. But the funny part is ChatGPT, being ChatGPT, it tells us that I don't have any personal opinions. I can present both sides, but not any one side. And we are asked it to give some pointers, so we can get good amount of stuff and content summarized on any topic and use it for general debate competitions or group discussions, and likewise. Similarly, we can ask for technical discussions for specific stream of students. These are technical, and if you want them to be general ones, so it also gives us general. And these are pretty good, like for BCA students, ethical considerations in data science, data driven decision making, and all. So these are very good topics where students would have to do some homework and all those things. So I think this is also useful there. Now this is one part, I think, which generally goes overlooked while students go through their coursework. That's the testing and code quality part. And I think this tool can be used a lot to make students understand those edge cases, and why code quality is important, how we can do that. And we can simply ask ChatGPT to write certain, you can say, test cases, or you can ask it to write certain uh, for Python, for SQL, or for anything for that matter. You can ask it to write certain test cases and it will provide you with uh, different test cases as well. So this is one more example. Now I'm asking it to explain some Python code. So this is also one useful functionality. We can ask chat gpt to if we have any program in Python or any language, we can ask it to explain, so it will try to go through it line by line and understand what's happening inside and give us the output. So this is also one very handy tool. Now this is the next one that I'm going to talk about. This is pretty important and might help a lot of people who are doing data analytics, data science, and machine learning. Many a times we don't have very clean data to work with for different problems, specifically when we are taking up labs for students. So what we can do is we can ask ChatGPT to generate some sample data for any field for that matter, like healthcare. So it gives us patient ID, age, gender, blood type, and hospital stay. So this is the initial data, and the story doesn't ends here. You can even ask it to do some exploratory analysis. So you see, it's doing the analysis as well as returning the results. So it's pretty smart in that respect, doing certain box plots, his plot, count plot, and whatnot. Now it's trained. I asked it to train a machine learning model, to predict the hospital stay. So it's also doing the machine learning part, what all is required, everything, and what's the training accuracy. So for that also, it's giving me the code. So it's pretty smart in that respect, that any lab experiment we can uh, uh, formulate using help of chat gpt from its inception to right till the end of that. So very very useful in that. And even I can ask it to perform certain computations, like here I'm asking it to do pca with some sample data and also get the output result. So it took this iris data, the pretty famous iris data. It has also given us the code, as well as it has also given us the output for that code, whatever is there. So pretty smart in that aspect, that it can also compute output. Now this is one example where uh, uh, we might ask it to create a data set for email spam. This is a data set which might not be that readily available on the internet, or if it is available, getting that cleaning and understanding, so that might be a bit tough. So here we can simply take that data and copy paste wherever it's required. And I'm even asking it to make 100 rows long. So it has given me these many. Now we can also tweak the data that has already been produced. So I'm saying it to make it again this data, but also add the row number as a column. So that also it is adding. So you can see the email content is here, spam or not spam, and even the row number is being added. So you see till 45 it is doing. And here is the limitation, that there are certain restrictions on how much data it can return. And I'm asking it to build a logistic regression model, and it's building that. And one thing that you notice, that it's not doing the pre-processing on this data, like tokenizing or doing stop word removal and all those things. So I explicitly ask it to do all those things as well. And in the final code, it is doing things end to end, like starting from importing that data and finally to vectorizing and removing stop words and not all. So this is pretty helpful in this aspect, that you can take input the data, generate the data, and produce the output as well. Sorry. Now, like we saw Linux terminal, we can also ask it to do act as a Python interpreter. And print hello world, it gives me hello world. I'm trying to iterate over a loop, so it's giving me output of the loop. I'm trying to implement a prime number, so it's giving me output of the prime number. So like Python, JavaScript, C++, Java, anything it can sorry. Yeah, so it can act like anything. So yeah, pretty smart in that aspect. Now here, this one is some sample which I was just doing, so no, not required. Yeah, here again I'm using it. So I'm taking one lab, BCA final year lab, and I'm just copy pasting programs from here. So build an ANN by implementing back propagation and test using appropriate data set. So pretty generalistic statement here, but for implementing this in a lab setting where students can understand things, that might be a challenge. So chat GPT to the rescue. You can see that I just gave it this prompt and it did everything. Like it started from here, and it also wrote the Python code. Here is the back propagation algorithm, and the limitation that it stops after some time. We also surpass that limitation by whenever it stops, I start saying generate the rest of the response, and it is pretty smart that it understands that the last response was cut off, so it continues. So I think this is pretty helpful in that aspect. Then email spam, so the same thing. With this example, I understood that if I can create more data using this, so I again ask it generate rest of the response. I can even get my 100 rows as the output for the email spam data. Earlier, I was just getting 46. Now all 100 are possible using this thing. Yeah, so pretty helpful trick. And yeah, for research work also we can use chat gpt, and some people might be apprehensive in the sense that chat gpt might produce data that might be commonly used by many people. So we can also provide some constraints when producing data. So let's say I'm asking it for again spam and ham setting, and where every email text should begin with the word s. So what it says is, although this is some extra characters, but yeah, at least every example it's beginning with the letter s. So yeah, this is how with constraints we can even use it in a research setting. So yeah, pretty I think pretty smart and pretty useful tool in that sense. So I think yeah, that sums it up as far as chat gpt goes. There were two things more that I wanted to just share. This common crawl, this might be very helpful in the sense that this is the data that is empowering chat gpt, and over which chat gpt and these llms, large language models, are being trained. And you can see that these are actually web archives. So all the websites that are available on the internet, those have been crawled and their text has been saved in these in this common crawl project. So pretty helpful in that aspect. And this is the project you through using which this chat gpt is possible. And anyone can do train their version of llms. It's just that you should have that bandwidth and that resource at your disposal, that you can train such models. And one more tool is GPT-0 that I've also discussed in another video, where using which, like, you detect plagiarism for any text. You can also detect whether that text has been generated by chat gpt or not. You just take that text, let's say this one, and you put it in chat gpt 0, and you just get the results, and it just says your text is likely to be entirely written by a human being. And this is something which although should not occur, because we are actually doing it from a chat gpt source to gpt 0, but it says likely to be entirely written by humans. So this is not that correct. But yeah, uh, at times this is uh, uh, helpful. Like, I'll give you one example. Let's say this debate on demonetization, we had certain text. So here we copy this text and we put it into this GPT-0 tool, and here you see it should be saying it's entirely written by AI. And so it is a good tool, but yeah, not perfect one in the world. It is evolving, and many other tools like these are evolving. But at least for to start with, I think this is a good tool to understand if the text being generated is written by AI or by human. But yeah, still it has its pitfalls. Yeah. Thank you everyone. Do like, share, comment.